Welcome to the channel. As you can see, we have quite the work cut out for us in this video, but stick around as I should make for some really good before and after shots. Peeling paint off this deck has become one of those weird, oddly satisfying things that we as a family all find ourselves doing every time we come out. I don't know what kind of paint it is or what the conditions were like when it was applied, but it clearly never had a chance. There's just a lot of issues between that, some rot, and I swear my kids can't even look at this deck without getting splinters. And pulling splinters out of a 2-year-old is definitely not the funnest thing in the world. There are some issues I already know I'll need to address, but structurally, just from what I can tell from the outside, the railing post and deck frame itself seem to be really solid and in good shape. A lot of the work is just cosmetic, turning it into a way lower maintenance deck that we can actually come out here and enjoy. To kick off demo day, I started with the biggest task, all the deck boards. These boards are nailed on, so it's just a matter of prying them up. If you do any demo like this, I couldn't recommend this bull bar from Crescent enough. It's definitely more expensive than just a regular crowbar, but works so much better for stuff like this. It doesn't damage the joist, which is most important in my case, but it doesn't damage the boards either if you're wanting to save them. The head is indexable too, so it allows you to rotate and get really good leverage either way you're standing. This sure sounds like a sponsored ad read, but it's not. Just sharing a good tool. I will leave a link to this and all the other tools you see throughout the video down in the description though if you want to check anything out more. Anyways, as I was prying up the deck boards, I also went through and removed the nails right then for a few reasons. One, the way the bull bar pivots on the joist, it would bend one of the nails over as I went to pry up the next board. So it was better to get them out of the way before continuing. Also, it just helps break up the monotony. On a project this big, I'd just be pulling nails for hours at the end if I left them, so breaking things up like this, mentally it just doesn't seem as bad. Once all the boards on the main deck were off, I moved on to removing the railings. Since the posts would be staying, I started by getting the top drink rail board pried off. Then I broke out the Sawzall with a Diablo Demo Demon blade to just cut through the nails right at the post. These carbide blades are another thing worth every single penny. This clip here you can see one of the hardest things I had to deal with on this project flying around. These darn bees. Guys, I got stung in the back of the head, neck, right on my lip, and twice on my ankles. And I've never had a reaction to bee stings before, but for some reason with these I did. I swelled right up and the pain lasts forever. Definitely not a fun time. Once the railings were off, I moved back to removing all the deck boards from the stairs. Into the heat of the day at this point, my camera kept overheating, but I think you get the point, so I finished that off camera. The last bit of demo was all the lattice skirting. These panels were all pretty janky and we just wanted to upgrade to a newer look. Real quick, I want to take a break to thank Ariat for supporting the channel and to let you guys know that they're having a big Labor Day sale starting today and running through until Monday, so be sure to check out the link down in the video description. I'm wearing all sorts of Ariat products throughout the video, but this right here is like the ultimate keep cool setup for working out here in the middle of August. This is the Rebar Evolution hooded sun shirt. The long sleeves and hood seems kind of counterintuitive, but it really is awesome just to keep the sun off your skin, and the mesh fabric allows you to breathe and regulate your body temperature. Up next are the charcoal gray tech shorts, and these are hands down my favorite pair of shorts that I've ever worn. Super comfortable and lightweight, breathable. They're durable enough for work, but yet they look good enough you could wear them out to dinner or even the golf course and stuff like that. To finish it off down on the feet, I'm rocking the Farmland waterproof boots. These are perfect when everything's soaked with dew out here in the morning, keep my feet dry. And I'm personally not a fan of wearing tall boots and socks in the middle of summer. I prefer something more low cut like these. Like I said, be sure to check out the link below to the Labor Day sale. And if you're watching this in the future and missed that, there's always a link down there for 10% off your first order as well. Alright, let's get back to work. One of the issues I had to deal with was this terrible erosion problem I started having with dirt coming through the boards at the bottom of the steps. And where there's dirt, there's grass and weeds trying to grow through. When I removed the deck boards, the problem became obvious. They had never put any rivets or screws in these downspout fittings, so they just fell apart at some point. And all the rainwater came right down from the gutter and washed dirt out all along this concrete wall, and eventually started filling up the bottom of the stairs. Oh, the stuff you find remodeling, am I right? After that, I started power washing to remove most of the old paint. Repainting the rim joist and stair risers is one area I did try to cut cost, since we absolutely blew the budget on this project. I would have preferred to wrap it all in PVC, but this route saved a couple $1,000s at least. I know I'm going for a less maintenance deck and still have some painted surfaces, but since these are vertical surfaces where water can just shed off, and with a high quality paint, it should be a really long time before this needs repainted again. Unlike deck boards, never paint your deck boards. Something worth pointing out is I'm not using the smallest tip I have for my pressure washer. When it comes to wood, you want to be really careful you're not using too powerful of a tip that'll actually tear up and damage the wood. I'm just cleaning and getting most of it here, and we'll sand the rest off later. You might have noticed earlier in the video, this front rim joist was two pieces with a joint right in the middle, and they were each bowing different directions. It would have drove me crazy to leave that, so I went ahead and got that replaced with one board spanning the distance. This is kind of hard to tell on video too, but it's super noticeable in person that a section of the stairs is sagging several inches. From what I can tell, this one side is fastened to the concrete wall with just really small concrete anchors, and one of them gave away. We're on a steep hill here and nowhere to set the camera, so sorry I couldn't film everything, but these bottle jacks really come in handy for stuff like this. I went through the whole stairs and got it all jacked up nice and level where it's supposed to be. And it wasn't fastened enough before, so I went the other way and went overkill, getting it reattached with a bunch of 3/8 and 1/2 inch redhead anchors. While I had the SDS drill out, I went ahead and added a couple more anchors where it attaches to the house as well. The one side sits on that concrete wall, and unless there are some anchors behind the joist that I couldn't see, the other side was just attached with 1/4 inch anchor. It was still sitting perfect where it was, but just to be safe, I wanted to add some new and bigger anchors. Next on the list was replacing this one colonial style post that went up into the soffit overhang with a square vinyl wrap post that'll match our new railing. This isn't load bearing at all, so I just used a 2x4 to lift the roof up just a tad to take any pressure off of it to get it cut out. It was nice to actually put something new in that made progress toward the deck looking better at this point. Every other post was in really good shape with no rot or anything, besides this one that had a pretty good curve to it. It was too bad to be hidden with the new vinyl post wraps, so out it came. From there I just went through everything, literally everything, and added new deck and structural screws to just pull everything tight and make sure it was as solid as could be. Speaking of making it more solid, this deck never had joist hangers. This was the only real issue when we bought the house that failed inspection, was the deck not having joist hangers. So I just used that as bargaining power, and the seller paid me the money and I said I'd handle it. Years later, here we are handling it. It really makes you wonder if stuff like this is critically necessary, because like I said, this deck was stout without them. But I don't want it to be used against me and fail an inspection when we go to sell the house, so we gotta make it right and get it fixed. Now if you want a really good workout, get yourself this Metabo HPT beast of a belt sander and sand to the side of your deck. Whew! Subscribe for more workout tips. With a freshly clean and sanded surface, I could get the risers and rim joists primed for another visually appealing step in the right direction. For the bottom of the new skirting, I'm using treated 2x4s. Actually, they were 2x8s that I ripped down into 2. Way cheaper that way. And I got them pre-primed and painted so I wouldn't have to after installing. White paint over primer isn't too interesting, so I didn't bother showing that on the rest of the deck, but like I said, using a high quality paint like this Sherwin-Williams Duration, it won't need repainted for a long time. This first piece here is the only level one, and then all the others just follow the slope of the ground. All this landscaping will be redone too, probably next spring, and that'll hide a lot of the unevenness along the ground. I've also had these boards here and drying out for quite some time now too. On a project like this, there's tons of planning involved, so being able to think ahead on stuff like this allowed me to get them painted now instead of having to wait until they were dried out enough later. With those attached, I could go ahead and fill the screw holes and get all the cut ends primed and painted. For all the vertical slats, I am using PVC trim boards, so all of these never have to be painted at least. These boards are reversible with either a smooth or wood grain texture, and after some deliberation with the wife, we decided the smooth side facing out looked better. Skirting is typically done last when building a deck, but by doing it this way, it allowed me to hide all the fasteners on the inside for a really clean look. I will be doing one of the sections on the backside a little different to make it removable, just in case I ever need to get under the deck for some reason, but 90% of it was really simple doing it this way. None of the cuts had to be angled or cut perfect since it's all hidden. I just used one of the 5/4 PVC deck boards to space them out and got them tacked in place with some stainless 15 gauge nails. That probably would have been good enough, but just in case, I did go through and secure them all with screws as well. Like I said, this isn't really how I would have preferred to do the fascia and skirting, but it was a way more cost-effective route for still a really clean look. Definitely a night and day difference from before. And not to leave you hanging, but we still have a ton of work to do, and to keep this video from being too long, I think this is a good point to go ahead and stop for part 1. Definitely make sure you're subscribed and come back for the rest, where we do the low voltage LED lighting, railing, and of course the decking. It really comes together for a huge transformation. And thanks again to Ariat for being a great supporter of the channel. Be sure to check out those links down in the video description and check out their big sale they got going on. Until next time, take care.